TLB fam, what it do? Got a special guest in the building today. Our guy Kevin from Select Physical Therapy. He's been helping me out through all my injuries. He helped me with my shoulder, and now he's helping me with my knee. So he came into the gym today, and we're gonna do some, rehabilitation type exercises. Look at how our bodies are functioning, and then try to fix like what we're lacking or what we need to work on, or strengthen areas that are looking a little bit weak and stuff like that.
I was asking these guys, what's the most common injury that they're seeing? For me, a lot of the athletes that I'm treating, it's gonna be knee pain. Whether it's playing sports, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's just being active. The knee pain is very common, so we figured it'd be a good time to talk about that.
Absolutely.
A quick example, a lot of times, when we think of the knee, a lot of times you'll have pain above the knee, below the knee. Doesn't really matter where the pain is. We're more worried about what's going on at the ankle, what's going on at the hip. Like what we've been working on with Josh, for a simple screen, I just had him start squatting. One thing we saw when Josh would squat is as he would come down, that right foot wanted to flare out. Maybe it wasn't that first time he squatted, maybe it wasn't that 100th time he squatted, but over time that builds up, and what's gonna happen is that kneecap is gonna come off alignment. Imagine that foot's flared out here, right? Knees tracking inwards each time. A lot of times the muscles on the outside of the thigh, they get real stiff, real tight. Muscles on the inside, right? Weak, inhibited. So our job, what we've been working on with Josh, is trying to open up his ankle mobility, working on that, working on his hip internal rotation so he could get into a better position each time he's squatting, each time he's jumping. Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea maybe to just run through a screen with one of you guys here, so we can maybe look at how you're moving and then show you things how you can work on it.
All right, let's do that. For sure. Let's get it.
Most people don't generally squat with their toes straight. A lot of times, I hear that question. Should I squat with my toes straight? Should I squat with my toes out? Ideally, we all should have the capacity and the availability to squat with our toes pointing straight on. For movement assessment purpose, just to keep things consistent, I'm gonna have you try this with your toes straight. All right? So with your feet pointing towards me, first, what I want you to do is just start with your fingertips right behind your head here. Just lightly grab there. And just squat as low as you feel you can. Good. Back up. And you look right down here. We can see left foot stayed pretty square, right foot flared out just a little bit more on that side. Try it again one more time for me. Keep your toes straight.
So straight on?
Yep, straight on. And then squat down again for me. Just a little collapse in there. Good. So now we got to look at, is this an ankle, a hip, even thoracic spine issue? Looking basically what we can find through here is that, yeah, we saw that ankle flare out. Other things that we're looking at is as you squat down, your trunk goes forward and then your pelvis dumps underneath you at the bottom position. So, what can happen is as that hip dumps back, basically if we run out of available hip range of motion, the rest of it's just gonna come from our pelvis, right? Yeah. So just lay down on your back right here for me. When I get to here, I can feel that if I go any further, it's gonna come from his pelvis, right? So we get maybe to 90 degrees. So if you ever squat below 90, all that's gonna happen is your pelvis is gonna dump, you're gonna put stress in your low back. Again, right about there, finally the end of his available hip range.
This one feels a lot looser than
it does, right? Yeah. You're able to get maybe 5 or 10 degrees further before you're getting that. Do you have any right leg injuries, past injuries, anything like that?
It's everything. Yeah, it's everything with my right leg.
Everything's on the right leg? Okay. So the other thing is we want to clear the ankle, right? So one of the best tests and easiest tests anyone could do at home just to check how their ankles are moving, all you need is a wall. So just come over here. What I'm going to have you do is you're going to kneel right here. We're going to go about 4 fingers width or palm width, right, away from the wall. The idea is I want to see if you can track your knee directly in line with your toes, touch the wall without the heel popping up. Okay. What will happen a lot of times is you can achieve that by giving yourself false range of motion by diving your knee inwards. So really ensure that your knee's tracking right in line with your toes. Let's go back just a little bit. Good, so heel needs to stay down. And if you just see how far you can go. Good, seems to be getting it all right there. Good. And then let's see the right. Not too bad. How's that feel? Does that feel any tightness? Any pinching in the front? Stiffness in the back at all?
Feels good.
Feels okay? Yeah. Awesome. If you fail that test, right? If you cannot get your knee to touch the wall, forefinger widths away, right? A few things might happen. You might feel a little bit of pinching in the front of your ankle, or you might feel just tightness in the back of the calf area. If you're feeling that pinching in the front of the ankle, it's basically the joint itself isn't able to glide over it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to mobilize that joint using one of these bands right here. So yeah, I'm just gonna have you step in here with your right foot here, right? This is gonna go just underneath those two bony spots on the side of your ankle, right? We can use this plate to help kind of lift your foot up in the air a little bit, so the direction of the joint is not only back, but slightly down a little bit. So here, if you get enough tension, again, keep your heel down. All I'm gonna have you do is just track your knee in line with your toe. Good, make sure that heel stays down. Good, tracking right in line with your toes. You feel it kind of stretched a little bit. Might not be it's not an aggressive stretch by any means, but you should feel it kind of working, mobilizing. A little bit of a stretch in the back of the heel. I'm a big advocate for test, retest. So before you do the left side, because that left side didn't have too much restriction. Let's just stand up, let's recheck that squat, and just see how it's looking. So again, just keep everything consistent. Toes are gonna be straight on. Fingers behind your neck there. And then squat down forward. Still getting a little bit of that flaring out of that right calf, right, or that right foot. And we just took care of that restriction there. So it's flattening out just a little bit. All right. So we even saw the ant pass the calf flexibility test. We were just showing this exercise for anyone that maybe that doesn't pass that test, to try to clear that up. So next we saw that his hip internal rotation was a little bit limited, and we were talking before that if you don't have that available hip internal rotation, what's going to happen is the body's going to fight to pull that foot outwards. So let's just show a technique that we do to try to improve that hip rotation there. So we want to get this band nice and high in the hip. Right. What we're going to do is we're going to drive the knee down into the ground here, right? So as you push your knee down, it pushes the femur into the back of the socket, right? That's gonna help with that hip internal rotation, as well as just help as you lower down to the squat, allowing you to improve the amount of flexion of your hip. So I'm driving my knee down to the surface, pushing down. This band is giving me a little distraction. I feel a real big stretch right in the side of my glute there. So we want to be able to mobilize for at least a minute here, if not closer to 2 minutes. Right? Really trying to work in. You can kind of shift your weight around, really feel, so if you kind of shift your weight over towards your right, you might feel a little bit more stretch. Maybe pushing your hips forward, allow the band to kind of take you into that stretch a little bit more. Just kind of working around, trying to really find where some of the tightness is built up in the hip capsule. So let's just see after doing that stretch, again, just kind of test, retest here. So as I do that, how much freer that hip movement is, right? Now if we see I'm getting that end range right about there, that's a good, I don't know, 10, 15 degrees better than it was before we started, right? And then we're looking as a hip internal rotation, it's much better. Does that feel all right? Less tight?
Less tight.
All right, good. All right, let's retest that squat. Squat down. Good. Better. How's that feel?
Feels better.
Feels better, right? Good. Excellent. All right, we can create an arch for our foot. If you look at just, genetically, yeah, you got that flat foot, right? A lot of people are. A lot of people have flat feet. So a lot of people think that, that's just God's gift, that that's what they're born with, so that's what they got to work with. Yeah. But we can create an arch from a couple different ways. We got foot strength, right? But most of the time, it's actually coming from our hip. When you screw that foot into the ground, right? As you do that, you see how it creates that arch for you, right? Allows you to tighten up and create that stability in the hips, and that's gonna really help you stay strong, especially at the bottom position of the squat. The last thing we want is when we're in the bottom, we want to keep those knees pulling out. We don't want them collapsing inward. So the way that we can now train that is I'm going to cue Ant here to just screw his feet into the ground, right? Create a nice strong arch. Make sure you got 3 points of contact. You got the big toe down, pinky toe down, pressure through the heels, right? He's got a nice arch, and this band is going to act as some cueing for him to pull the knees out as he descends down to the squat. Just try it again for me. Squat down, pull against the band. Good. And back up. And as you're doing that, you'll feel those hip muscles firing, those hip muscles working. Really try to control it. And just doing that, that knee staying nice alignment right over the toes. Looking real good. If you're jumping, especially when you're jumping onto a high box, right? You're a lot of times landing in that bottom of that squat position, right? And if again, not only jumping mechanics, but also landing, how your knee is aligned over your toes every time you land is just as important. So the explosive jump and being able to come up and land, feet straight, stick the landing, right? Stick the landing like this. All right, let me see what that looks like. So you see how his feet are flared out, especially that right foot? Try it again. See if you can land with both feet toes pointed, toes pointed straight. Knees in line with the ankle. A little better. Right foot still flared out, just a little bit. One more time. Better. And just as this is a test, this can become an exercise of itself. If you're having pain or problems with jumping, is break it down, slow things down a little bit. I think all too often we want to do things fast and explosive. Once you slow things down and you realize where some of these imbalances are, and you can really focus on them, you train that pattern over and over again, and it just becomes natural once you do speed things up. So, you know, really you should be able to squat without pain before getting into some of these jumping exercises, but you don't want to just go right back to playing basketball, to doing box jumps right after, you know, you've been having knee pain for a period of time. So a nice way to progress is going to be to kind of slow some of those movements down. We can use a box so that we can limit the amount of impact that's happening, right? And then one other thing we've been working on is kind of those controlled skater jumps where we're gonna, you know, land and really focus on that knee control each time we're landing. So let's just show the box jumps here. There it is. So you can notice that he's able to get that explosion through his right leg, but not have as much impact through the right knee. Is there any pain there, Josh? No. Good. Good, one more. Nice.
This is good for me, guys, because I haven't been able to jump. And usually when you jump, you know, you start from here and you explode up. And it's been tough for me because this position, anything in this motion has been hurting my knee really bad. So it keeps me away from like that 90-degree motion, but gets me going, gets my heartbeat going. And also, like, I'm still working on jumping slightly. So just like Kev said, it's just a progression.
That's right. Good. You can see how much more difficult it is for Josh to control that right side when he's landing. He's really good at controlling the left. So we're working on it. So that's better. Good. There you go. You know, when we're talking about sets and reps, especially for more of this explosive type exercise, plyometrics, box jumps, things like that, we want to keep the rep range low. We want you to be able to use full maximal effort each repetition you're doing. So, you know, a lot of times what I'll have, you know, patients, clients doing is generally anywhere between 3 to 5 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions for a lot of these jumps.
You know, if you're not able to jump, if you haven't been able to jump, you know, you can start off by doing the little box jumps that I was doing, and also the ski jumps as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it could be as simple as just starting and just jumping. Just keep the distance. Really feel how. Make sure you can stabilize and control that. Yeah. As it gets easier, you start to jump out further. Right? So we started small with you, and then we started working our way to jumping further out once you can control that motion. And there was no pain. If there's pain with any of these movements, we got to back down. We got to go back to the basics that we were talking about earlier.
Sure. With a lot of our viewers, I think they pretty much feel the same way, that, you know, if you're just feeling knee pain, they think that maybe it's just the knee and maybe they need to fix something with the knee, but they don't know that it could be their quad, their hip, their ankle mobility. So.
Yeah, no, and that's an important thing that I'm trying to teach my clients, as well as, you know, as well as other people, is really, you know, when we're moving, it's not just one joint at a time. Our full bodies are moving together, right? So When it comes to the knee, again, going off that tracking issue, I'd say almost any time there's knee pain coming from activity or a lot of exercise, it's because this kneecap is coming off track, right? And it's that repetitive nature of sport that kind of creates this
Wear and tear
down, right? So you get that clicking in the knee, you get that burning sensation, especially after squats, especially after running, especially after jumping, right? And it's because each time we're moving is that kneecap is coming off track, right? And if that's coming off track, even the slightest amount, that's gonna create that wear and tear right there underneath the knee. So, you know, when we gotta really assess looking above and below the problem area, right? I do that for any joint, whether we're working on shoulders, we're working on hips, knees, ankles, I'm always looking above and below to kind of see where, you know, compensation is happening. You know, just using the screening process, a few different things that we can look at, self-assessments at home, stuff like that some of your viewers can do on their own, and then being able to just clear that up. And a lot of times we clear up those restrictions in the ankle, in the hip, you know, improve some of that strength and stability in those areas. Also, the knee pain goes away.
Yeah. Right. So definitely, yeah. So that's these two exercises, the ankle mobility exercise and the hip, the stretching exercise, are some things I'm going to be doing before I squat and before I get into any of my jumping, because like I felt a lot better during the 30 times that I was squatting after I got my hip loosened up and stretched out. So it felt a lot better on my knees, on my back, and just my overall squat felt a lot better. So basically address everything in total. So whether it's icing, whether it's foam rolling, the stretching, the alternative exercises, the wear and tear, you don't want to keep pushing through. Like if you feel the discomfort in your knee or in your shoulder, you don't want to keep pushing through those exercises that cause those pains.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well.
Get Kev, Select Physical Therapy.
West Hartford.
Yes, sir.